What is going on, FA Nation? John Pember here with James Grani. Welcome into the Quick Pitch MLB DFS live stream and podcast recording here for Wednesday's 8-game early 1 p.m. slate. James, we've hit the first real split slate, feels like, of the season when it comes to DFS platforms here. DraftKings and FanDuel offering 6:35 p.m. slates. They're offering DraftKings here an 8-game slate starting at 1 p.m. We're going to cover the early slate for today's podcast. James and I will be back live at 5 o'clock Eastern time to cover the 6 o'clock slate. So make sure you tune in to the live stream there because there'll be all different information, all different slate for us to break down here. But I know many of you there chomping at the bit early on Wednesday to get after this 8-game slate starting at 1 p.m. FanDuel, breaking them up. 12:35, they're starting there, a couple mini game slates there. So information that'll be prudent across the way. But again, we're breaking down DraftKings today. 8 games starting at 1 o'clock, James.
We can't escape Coors because another Coors Field slate here with Coors kicking off at 3:10 Eastern. Thank you for everyone listening here on the Better Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm. The last couple of days have been awesome here on the network. It's been a great partnership thus far, and we're looking forward to continuing that. Interesting 8-game slate. Some top names, and by some I mean like literally one elite pitcher probably. I guess if you want to include Marcus Stroman, Logan Gilbert, some would say Sonny Gray, the way he started the year on the mound, have looked really good, and Tyler McGill as well. So interesting pitching slate, John. I think there's going to be a lot of value that we look to attack. In terms of Vegas, let's look. First look, Jack Flaherty minus 190.
That's going to be interesting. I mean, Jose Urena is pitching on the mound for Colorado, so we know all about that one. Was a gift that kept on giving. His last start in Coors, it happened early, it happened often. Flaherty, just wild, right? Still really walking a bunch of guys. You put guys on base in Coors, most likely going to give up a lot of runs. So I'm with you there. Going to be pretty interesting to see, given how big of a favorite he is.
That game also has a 12.5 implied run total. That's opening at 12.5. We closed Tuesday slate at 12.5. We're opening at 12.5. Who knows what that's going to be bet up to in the middle of the day? Maybe the ball is carrying better. We'll have to see what the weather is for St. Louis and Colorado. Anything else notable? 8.5 runs in Milwaukee, Arizona. 9.5 actually in Washington and Los Angeles. That's the last game that kicks off, right? Washington, Los Angeles is the last game of the slate. 4:07.
Yes, it is 4:07.
So 9.5 implied runs in that game. That's a pretty big total. Do we have a starter? Is Griffin Canning?
Yeah,
Griffin Canning is going to start.
He's starting for LA. Mackenzie Gore starting for Washington here. Gore, again, just very, very cheap.
Very cheap.
We pitched him in Coors the last time out, and it was good. 6 innings, 2 earned, 6 Ks for us. That feels like a spot to target. Does Ohtani hit the day after he pitches? Is he not usually on the lineup?
Yeah, I think he hits most days. I think he'll hit. We'll see. It's a good point. It is a night game after a day game too, so that could definitely signify a rest day, John. So good on you for mentioning that. Angels are minus 180, minus 175 to minus 180 favorites across the board tomorrow.
That's a disrespect to Mackenzie Gore, I think. Mackenzie Gore.
It is. That's the second, second biggest favorite on the board. The Angels in that game. Zach Wheeler minus 190. Flaherty's floating pretty much between 170 to like 195. And pretty much across the board, the Angels are minus 175 to 180. So it is a little interesting to see Mackenzie Gore, how well he's pitched. Just that.
How well he's pitched, that pedigree he has as an elite prospect. There's a lot going for him. Now, of course, the one thing going against him is his own offense. Washington not expected generally to put up a lot of runs. But to your point here, Griffin Canning expected to make his season debut. Certainly a guy that, some inconsistencies last year at times. Now, we did have 10 strikeouts in his most recent rehab start. So, flame throwing it down to the minor league level, but a different animal here when you get back to the major league level. We also have Jansen Junk starting for Milwaukee here, gets recalled up, going to be making his debut. 2 starts for a AAA there, 0.9 ERA in 10 innings. So, again, not a guy that has a great track record as a major league pitcher, but he's $9,100, right?
Right.
It's just something interesting there going up against Arizona. Then Arizona, they're starting Dre Jameson here, getting the call up for them, $6,900. He's been more of a bullpen guy for them, but maybe he gets extended a bit. Who knows?
Yeah, potentially. There's a chance, but maybe not likely, just considering where he started. I also wanted just a note on Griffin Canning, John. He missed all of last year.
Right.
So he has not pitched since 2021.
Tommy John, right?
Yeah. So this is going to be, I'm shocked, really, that he's getting so much respect in his first start after not pitching for an entire year. Oh, it was actually, so it wasn't Tommy John. It was a lower back stress fracture.
Oh, weird.
So he missed the entire year with a stress fracture.
Okay. There you go. $7,400 for him. He gets that matchup there against Mackenzie Gore, with LA being such a big favorite. So that's kind of the interesting sort of spot starts. Again, this is an 8-game early slate. You mentioned the top price guy here, Zach Wheeler, is $9,700. Hasn't pitched great. Cincinnati tagged him, 2 runs, 3 walks, 5 hits over 5 1/3. The Rangers got to him in his first start, 4 1/3 innings there, 4 earned runs. It's not necessarily the trend, but it feels like some of the guys we find to be maybe in reliable spots lately have been getting hit. We saw Sandy Alcantara get lit up against Philly just the other day. Christian Javier today against Pittsburgh labored a little bit. We got Wheeler, McGill as your top 2 guys. Junk, like I said, doesn't really make sense that he's $9,100. Stroman at 88 has been, I don't know, the best we've seen of Stroman in a very long time. 12 shutout innings to start the year, 14 strikeouts. He's got Seattle, who we saw put up a bunch of runs today. Logan Gilbert on the flip side there, not a great matchup against Cleveland last time out. Opened the season against Cleveland, looked really good. The Cubs put up a whole bunch of runs here tonight. So, it feels like less reliable starters tonight than we've seen in recent slates.
Yeah, I know. I think Zach Wheeler is going to garner a ton of love, and I know Luis Arias is coming off the first cycle in Marlins history tonight, or on Tuesday. That's the Marlins were the last team in Major League Baseball history to not have a cycle. Wow. So they've now checked off every team has now recorded a cycle. Still, they're really bad against right-handed pitching this year. They rank near the bottom of the league in pretty much every category, 24th in OPS, right there, 23rd in WOBA, and they have a 27% strikeout rate. So I think Zach Wheeler checks in as, should be the highest priced arm on the slate. I know he hasn't looked fantastic, but even throughout these struggles, still has churned out double-digit fantasy points in each start. I think this is the upside game. I actually love Tyler McGill and the way he started this year. Mm-hmm. Obviously a tougher spot in San Diego, but it is a good pitcher's park. Love to see the 93, 80, 88 pitches here. We'll see who's in the San Diego. This is going to be a lot of rest, like night games followed by day games. Usually we see guys potentially take days off. We could see that here. If there is a condensed Padres lineup, maybe McGill, has a softer matchup. And then we're going to see about the wind, right? We'll see about the wind because we talked about it all Tuesday evening. Yeah. We weren't sure Tuesday morning, but the line kind of was moving towards it looking like runs, John. Okay. So FanDuel has released a over-under, John, and so has Unibet. And so has Bet Rivers. What would you just random stab at Chicago, Seattle, what they opened at on those three sites?
9.5.
10. If you see 10 runs in Wrigley, that's just again suggesting that there's going to be weather
Yeah.
again. So you're right. It's going to be tough to get to Stroman and or Logan Gilbert if there's wind. Can you do it? Sure. Because Stroman, the thing we like about Stroman is he induces ground balls. That has been his MO his entire career. And you mentioned that this has been the best version of Marcus Stroman, maybe to date. John, 57% ground ball rate for Stroman's career, 68% ground ball rate to start the year. Every
The
single
strikeout
thing.
numbers are better than we generally get from him too.
Yep, 30%. So that means, is that a 2% fly ball rate? He has an 8% fly ball rate this year.
That is impressive.
That is a way to limit the wind, I would say, in Wrigley Field, if there is in fact wind.
Yeah, that is impressive. I would agree with you there. Do you think again, better quality of pitcher on the mound in this matchup than we saw on Tuesday? So I wonder how many people will buy into that, game total wind, and if those pitchers can keep the damage down. Thoughts on Sonny Gray here? 13 strikeouts in his last outing. Tonight, we watched Pablo Lopez give up 2 earned in the first and then basically shut down the White Sox lineup after that. Do you chase the Sonny Gray start here?
Yes. And I don't think it's chasing when we could just, and again, different pitchers, but like insert exact conversation we had about White Sox lineup on Tuesday into Wednesday and just kind of moving forward. Pablo Lopez gave up a home run to Andrew Vaughn, and then nothing else happened. You know what happened later? Luis Robert hit a home run,
right?
But that was off, not Lopez. That was off the Minnesota bullpen. Lopez was dominant, and that shouldn't surprise us. And I think the same thing can happen once again for Sonny Gray. Truthfully, if I'm, upon first look, and that's what this podcast is a first look podcast. Zach Wheeler and Sonny Gray, that's my cash game. Those are my cash game pitchers as of this recording.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think a lot of people go in that direction here. Given the game totals, given the matchups, and the fact that the rest of the pitching on this slate really doesn't give you much hope. I mean, listen, I think Mackenzie Gore's a stud. I'll probably have him in lineups, but that is probably the only other starter I would look at on this slate after Sonny Gray.
Yeah. Giolito's been horrible. But we kind of said the same thing about the Twins lineup as we did the White Sox lineup, right? Like, don't let Buxton beat you, and then Buxton beat him in the first inning.
Beat him today, yeah.
But they didn't do anything else. They scored 4 runs. So
Giolito's been bad for 2 years, though.
So yes and no. Like last year,
I understand he got unlucky, but also the luck never turned for him. And then this year he comes into the season, he's still unlucky. So maybe it's not unlucky. Maybe it's just this is where he's at now.
I'm not like fully pot committed on Giolito like turning it around to be the 2021 guy or the 2020 guy. I'm not, but I'm also just factoring in what Minnesota might throw out there. Like if they're still without Correa, they officially placed Gallo on the IL today. That means they have Kepler, Gallo, Polanco, Kirilloff all on the IL. Like that's a significant part of their lineup. Right. They had Donovan Solano lead off. Like that was their leadoff hitter. And we liked Donovan Solano last year, but he was he was good against
Great
American. And he was great
against lefties too. So
yeah, and he was fine in Great American, and that's great. But like I'm not really that interested in Donovan Solano leading off. I would definitely have interest in Giolito in tournaments in that case. I like the Edwin Cabrera talent. The walks though, like John, are just
you can't have 13 walks and 6 in the 2/3 innings.
I mean, I don't understand. Like I know there was
who walks more on this slate, Jack Flaherty who also has 13 walks.
That is a great question.
Or Edward Cabrera.
Jack Flaherty might not be able to walk people because he might just be getting teed off on in course. I'm gonna go Edward Cabrera with more walks here.
Okay.
But that is such a.
They both have combined 13 walks or each in their starts.
What a treat. What a treat to have both these.
At least to your point, Flaherty is being allowed to throw 93, 94 pitches. So
right.
They're letting him get there. But yeah, listen, I think I'm in agreement with you. It's Wheeler, it's Gray, and then it's Gore for me. I think that's the three I've narrowed my pitching down to.
I like Stroman as long as he can keep the ball down. I mean, 68% ground ball rate is no joke, and that plays in wind. Like that's the way to neutralize wind. Snell is always in GPP as an option. He has not looked good to start the year. Another guy who just lacks control sometimes.
To your question, we're looking at 20-mile-an-hour winds tomorrow. Today was only
10.
Well, 10. We're looking at 20-mile-an-hour winds tomorrow.
That is brutal. Logan Gilbert, I was just looking this up. He started the year
15 to 25-mile-an-hour winds with a higher gust possible, according to our friends at weather.com.
That is awesome. Well, we'll quickly just look at Logan Gilbert's profile, okay? Because Logan Gilbert's a very good pitcher.
Yeah.
But Logan Gilbert, John, for his career, has a 41.5% fly ball rate, which is 6% higher than his ground ball rate. If
plays better in Seattle than it would in Chicago.
Yes, if that is the case, we are going to want to use we're just going to want to use Chicago Cubs bats. Last year, we'll just go through this now. Reverse splits against Logan Gilbert was the move. 14 of his 19 home runs allowed versus righties, 454 slug, 334 WOBA. So keep that in mind when we get to the offense. Can't get to Gilbert if the winds are going to be that bad.
Yeah, again, we'll see exactly what the full weather report is. But again, just looking at it now as we're recording here on Tuesday evening, 15 to 25 miles an hour with gusts higher. So it should be interesting. Let's move on over to the catcher position. See where we're going today. We talk a lot about spending down more often than not at this position. 8 games here though. Do you find yourself attracted to the spend up spots? Real Muto, we talked about the control issues with Cabrera. Contreras just gets Urania at $4,600, assuming he does make the lineup here. The other William Contreras gets Jameson, could be used in like a starter opener role here. Zunino, we know, hits for a lot of power. Cal Raleigh hits for a lot of power. Those Stroman, as you mentioned, the ground ball guy there. Any catchers that you're just like, yep, this is the man to put in my lineup. Gonna move on after that.
I mean, you can definitely use Real Muto in Philly stacks. I don't hate that idea. Hasn't been great. 12 strikeouts in 9 games is obviously not great, but we know there's power, we know there's speed, and if Edward Cabrera is, walking people, I mean, there's going to be a lot of traffic. Dude, I've never seen this. 17.5 walks per 9 for Edward Cabrera. I have never seen that in my
not a good number.
That has to be a record book type of number. Yeah. I mean, if either Contreras is in the lineup firmly in play, Zunino has hit righties and lefties this year. Probably can't get to Cal Raleigh. Elias Diaz,
just to the ground ball rate, you think?
Yeah, just because the ground ball rate. But I guess, I mean, the wind, right? Like the wind is something.
It's a big uppercut swinging catcher versus a ground ball pitcher. So
right,
he's either going to drive it directly into the dirt or he's going to get under one. So
right. So in tournaments, fine. Elias Diaz homered again tonight. He continues to hit really well. So if you want to play Elias Diaz, Kybert, he's off to a slow start.
Which Yankees catcher do we get against Battenfield here? Trevino probably, or do we think we get Higashioka?
Yeah, probably Trevino. Higashioka is typically starting against lefties. That is like typically where he's
Yeah.
made his mark. So I'd assume Trevino, but another like Yankees played at I think it was 6:35.
Yeah.
So
We
Trevino
get him.
started yesterday. I mean, yeah, I would say Trevino. Whoever starts is definitely in play.
Okay. Alvarez struck out 3 times tonight. I don't think he'll be in the lineup against Snell, but it is versus a lefty. So, you know.
If he's in the lineup hitting ninth, like it's back in play, but he had a softer matchup on Tuesday, and that was not that did not pan out very well.
Correct. I agree with you there. All right. So catcher mostly will just depend on who's starting. I mean, we'll get the full lineups out by 1. We'll know who's going to be in or out, and we can kind of make our determinations there. But at least we are a big fan of Real Muto, the Contreras catchers here. Probably going to make some noise when it comes to our lineups on the slate. Moving on over to the first base position here. Again, we'll see if you have Ohtani in the lineup or not. He's $6,100. But then you have Goldschmidt, who was, again, at least at last check, laying another egg in a spot where a lot of people rostered him. You go back to the well, Jose Urena, though. I mean, like, he can't struggle in cores for all the games, can he?
No, I think and this is like lineup fatigue type of thing. Like, are we going to get Goldschmidt at low ownership because he hasn't done well the last 2 games, right? Like, that's thus far at current as they enter the top of the 8th inning. Goldschmidt is 0 for 3 with a run scored, an RBI, and a walk. So he's gotten you 6 fantasy points without getting a hit. If that just doesn't show you the upside that Goldschmidt has, that he can have 6 fantasy points without a hit, then like you're gonna miss the boat. This is I think of all the spots this last 3 days, like this is the spot because we've seen Kyle Freeland now look really good in back-to-back starts at Coors.
He's looked really good all season.
Yeah, he has looked good. Yeah, true. But like specifically at Coors, like the last 2 times we've gone to pick on him, it's been the bullpen that has, I mean, not last start, but this start has failed Kyle Freeland. Jose Urena does not look good at home. He doesn't look good on the road. I'm just so if
he gave up back-to-back home runs to start the last game. So
look, if people are getting over Goldschmidt already and like fatigued on the NL MVP, like 2 games into Coors, then yeah, I'm all in. He's probably my favorite spendo. And conversely, nobody played the Rockies on Tuesday, John. What did CJ Cron do? Hit a bomb.
Yeah.
Him and Ryan McMahon went back to back. Sorry, long day. Love them both. Love both first basemen in Coors.
Yeah, let's talk Cron against righties, right? Better last year, and now he gets Flaherty, who's either walking you or throwing you down the plate. So certainly could get some pitches to hit here, get into at least favorable hitter counts, right? Against Flaherty, and then you see your pitch. So I like it for sure. In the mid-tier, I kind of think, we haven't had the opportunity to play Yankees in a little bit. I wonder if people will be jonesing to get Yankees into their lineups. You got Rizzo here at 4,400.
Yeah, and Rizzo's heating up too. A little 3-game hitting streak. Hadn't really done much. Like he hit in almost every game he's played, but like that's it. But now 2 multi-hit games over his last 3. I'd love to get to Rizzo. I was just looking up Peyton Battenfield's splits from AAA last year. Definitely struggled more against lefties. 442 slugs, 750 OPS for lefties, 10 home runs. He made 28 starts. Righties were less than average. It was mostly lefty power, which unfortunately the Yankees don't have a lot of other than Rizzo. But
I'm sure if they hit Judge lefty, he would have power. So.
I'm sure. We watched Anthony Rendon hit a home run lefty, so I'm sure Aaron Judge can muscle one up too. Yeah, I love Rizzo 44, and I think when it comes to it, we're going to see the Yankees with one of the higher implied totals of the day, and probably the top pit. I don't know if they're the top pivot off of Coors and Wrigley, because those are going to be probably neck and neck, but the Yankees are probably going to check in like third.
Yep. We got Naylor at 4,200 against Schmidt. I'm fine going to lefty-righty matchup there. Some power. If you're not a believer in Mackenzie Gore, then it obviously would just make sense to go against Mackenzie Gore.
Yep.
We talked about this the other day. The Angels do have quite a few bats in their lineup that hit left-handed pitching. So
They do.
Brandon Drury, obviously here at $4,100 is a name to watch. If you're not going to be in on that spot. Josh Bell's 4K. Christian Walker against Junk at 4K has some power. Alec Bone's been hitting the ball. One of the best hitters right now in Philly. He's got first base, third base eligibility at $3,800. So there's definitely some guys here, basically in that 4K below range that could be filling out our first base spots.
Yeah, I mean, of the guys you mentioned, I definitely have interest in Alec Bohm. And I think the owner or the multi-position eligibility really stands out. Like Philly's offense was non-existent, and then it just all started to click, and they've just scored a boatload of runs recently. So, I guess I shouldn't say that. They had a boatload of runs in one game on Sunday, and then it's been kind of middling. But Bohm has not been the reason as to why they're not scoring.
Yeah.
8 RBIs his last 3 games. He has hits in 5 straight games. So yeah, I could definitely get to Alec Bohm. And again, if Edward Cabrera keeps struggling, Philly could be a very, very, very interesting stack.
Yep. Again, it all depends on what we think of Jameson here, but obviously Rowdy Tellez is 3,200. You get the lefty-righty matchup. Eric Hosmer, lefty-righty against Gilbert, as we talked about with the potential wind there out in Chicago for this spot. He's certainly someone that could be popping up. One thing I don't see here, James, as we're scrolling through.
What is that?
Burleson, no longer first base outfield.
And only Yepez.
Yep.
Burleson just the outfield, huh?
Yep.
I wonder what they do because Yepez homered on Tuesday, right? So I wonder if they keep Yepez in the lineup, just like roll with the hot bat.
Would it be a Goldie off day? Would they dare?
Maybe. This is also Jordan Walker continued the hit streak. I was about to say, I think Jordan Walker is hitless. So maybe we get a Jordan Walker day off, but possibly. Yepez DH'd. Goldie played first, night game after day game. But we are too accustomed. Because we do the NBA, we're just skeptics.
Guys being days off.
We're way too skeptical with that. We'll just have to wait and see the lineups, and we'll get them early. We'll have them bright and early because the day slate. So, I mean, if Yepez is in the lineup, I'm interested. When we get to outfield, I'm sure we'll have interest in Burleson and another Cub first baseman, Trey Mancini, homered on Tuesday.
And you brought him up on the live stream at 5:00. So
yep,
that it was we were really digging this Seattle-Chicago game during that live stream today. So
yeah, and flexing with the righty splits and had obviously 23 runs later in that game, right? So I mean, I think Mancini profiles well against Gilbert. We just talked about it when we're talking about Logan Gilbert. He was worse again against righties, like another Seattle pitcher that profiles worse against right-handed bats. Mancini, multi-position eligible. I kind of like that.
Moustakas tonight. We asked if the Moose was going to be loose in Coors. 1 for 3 with a double, a run scored, and a walk tonight. Now he gets Flaherty here, $2,600.
They might need to cage Moose. He's getting too crazy. He's getting too crazy out there.
Yeah. So just another like cheapy Colorado guy probably you can throw in against Flaherty. I mean, 6 walks is ridiculous. So he's going to put that many guys on base. There's a good chance he walks you. Just handing them out. All right, second base position here. Gleiber, questionable day to day. Looks like that
he left today.
Yeah, tweaked his hip. So good chance Gleiber Torres not in the lineup here for the Yankees at 4,900. My best ball teams are just lose Adam Duvall, Gleiber Torres here with a hip flexor. It was great to be in first place for 2 weeks. It doesn't seem like we're trending to remain in that direction. Brendan Donovan, $4,800. Rojas at 47. McMahon at 46. Andres Jimenez hit second today for Cleveland, had 2 hits. I feel like that's going to be a pretty popular play at $4,500. LeMahieu leading off for the Yankees at 44. A pretty strong top half of the second base position. Generally not what we've been looking at. Something big just happened in that was the last inning I think you just talked about, right? St. Louis just put up 4 runs in that game.
Yep. St. Louis, St. Louis tied the game with a big inning.
Yeah, Arenado looks like 3 RBIs.
Yeah, double. I think bases clearing double or some form of bases clearing double for Arenado. So top of second is very strong. I don't expect Gleyber to play, especially with the hip flexor leaving. I mean, you leave a game and then it's a day game the next day. Like that's super hard to get in the lineup. Brendan Donovan, I mean, we keep like wondering who's going to lead off, and it's just always the answer has just been Brendan Donovan. Right. So probably
lefty on the mound, Brendan Donovan. Righty on the mound, Brendan
Donovan. Despite hitting 235, I mean McMahon homered. So now, 2 home runs in his last 5 games. He has an RBI in 4 of his last 5 games. 4 straight starts, I should say, because Seattle or the last game, of course, he didn't start on Monday. So like that play, Jimenez is a very good player, as we know, and it's not just power, it's speed, it's power, it's hits, it's really just a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Don't know why it took them a year and a half to bat him second, but here we are. He should have been batting second like a long time ago. And LeMahieu was fine. I mean, I think he lacks upside at times because he's not a guy that he's going to hit 25 to 30 home runs and might just single you to death. But also if he singles you to death and Aaron Judge hits 3 home runs behind him, then all is forgotten. You have enough for, that's 14 fantasy points. So
yeah. Nico Hoerner put a power display on today. He had a double. He also stole a base.
He also stole a
base. 2 for 4 today. 3 runs, 2 RBI, a double, and a stolen base for Nico Hoerner. We joke about the power, but I mean, if the dude's gonna be getting 2 to 3 hits a night and scoring runs and stealing bases, $4,200 feels a little too free.
I mean, right. We joked about it, but like he signed that big extension in the offseason and he's was very good against lefties last year, but now he's just hitting everyone to start this year. I mean, look at the multi-hit games. He has so many multi-hit games already this year. And the more he's on, the more chance he's going to steal a base. 4 in his last 6 games now for Nico Hoerner. If the winds are blowing out, ain't going to hurt him. I mean, it's not going to hurt the guy. So, I mean, I'm perfectly fine getting Hoerner. And another righty for the Cubs. And Logan Gilbert struggled against righties last year. So give me Nico Hoerner.
Bend the trend here, it seems like.
Yep.
For sure. Anybody else in the value range here at second base? Nolan Gorman's obviously playing today. He's got Urania. Rengifo, we talked about it. If you're not in on Mackenzie Gore, you gotta love the Angels bats that hit lefties, right? Rengifo $3,600 against Gore. He went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs for us the other day when we were touting him. So definitely a guy that should be in play. Bryson Stott at $3,300 is somebody that we've seen hit at the top of that lineup. Yep. 422, 4 straight 2-hit games for Bryson Stott here. Lefty versus righty against Cabrera at 3,300. That one feels like a really strong play. I mean, there are definitely some spots to go here tonight.
Your Nolan Gorman call was poetic, John. He homered as you said. As you said his name, he had
just now.
Yes, as you said his name. So think back, the 47 seconds ago that you said Nolan Gorman's name. He homered as you said it. So I guess you're the Nolan Gorman whisperer.
Kansas City, St. Louis rather taking the lead then there on the Gorman home run.
I actually think Gorman is my favorite play in this tier, and 3,900. I love that we now don't have to select between Nolan Gorman, Nolan Arenado, and Brendan Donovan at third because now only Nolan Arenado is third base eligible. They've all been third base eligible. You guys can keep Brendan Donovan and play him. I'm going to just save $900 and play Nolan Gorman, who is more powerful. He's realistically been better. He just hit his 3rd home run already this year. He's hitting over 300. Why would we not play Nolan Gorman against Jose Urena, who was just horrific against lefties last year, has been terrible as you've profiled this whole entire podcast so far. Nolan Gorman is one of the best plays of the slate. And
feels like it. $3,900.
Yeah, it feels one of the best plays of the slate.
Again, excuse me, Stott is still really strong right now.
Sure.
Nick Gordon, we talked about it, hitting fifth today. Did come through 2 for 4 with the double. So, if Minnesota's got literally nobody else, then we think Giolito's washed. Nick Gordon, $3,100 is there. That is probably it for me.
Yeah.
Like Solano will lead off again. He's first, second base eligible at 2,100, right? So.
Yep. Turang as well. Jameson looked terrible in the spring. He struck out a lot of people, but he gave up 12 earned in 14 innings. He, was not all that good last year. I mean, he was actually pretty good out of the bullpen last year. He's been pretty good at. I guess I take it back. He was pretty good. But like, how long is he going to be extended? Do we trust the Arizona bullpen? So Turang 2,400 gets on, can steal a base for us.
Sure. That's probably it though, right?
Yep. That's it.
Third base position, we have Jose Ramirez at 6K, Arenado at 55, Machado at 5K is your top 3 guys over that price point here. How do you rank them out?
Nolan Arenado first. I'm all in on the Cardinals. You and I have been pretty wishy-washy, I think, on cores, and it's paid off the first 2 nights, but like that's you kind of have to take a stand, right? Like it wasn't. Kyle Freeland shut everyone down. Everyone was so disappointed, and then the Rockies bullpen strikes again.
Right.
But I'm gonna play cores, and Arenado is my top dog. Jose Ramirez second, Machado third. Tyler Murrill's been really good, and I know he can. Machado can hit anybody, but he hasn't hit any home runs this year. And for 5K, I'm gonna play the guy in cores over a guy who hasn't yet homered and has a tougher matchup. And then Ramirez, hasn't homered, but he has 4 stolen bases and 6 extra base hits, so you could definitely get to him. So Arenado, Ramirez, Machado is how I'd rank that top tier.
You talked enough about the splits there for Gilbert versus righties. Patrick Wisdom's here at 4,600.
Yes. Patrick Wisdom is someone who has a lot of home run potential too. Like he could hit 30 home runs this year. And I don't think anyone would be surprised. So like the third base outfield eligible. Also don't like, or I like that he's not 5K, like the price tag I spent for him on Tuesday slate. So have to like that as well for sure.
Anthony Rendon here. Again, last game out, he was scratched when we expected him to be in the lineup against the lefty.
He did play Tuesday. He did play Tuesday.
Yep.
He did play Tuesday. Not that anything's happening in that game.
Yeah, nothing yet. Yeah.
But he does have the lone RBI in this game. It is a sacrifice. It was on a sac fly. He is the only one in this game with he's the only run scored.
Right.
But that's also because Shohei Ohtani has a one-hitter.
Yep. And Josiah Gray managing to not give up home runs.
Right.
So like I said though, so Rendon gets a lefty here. We talk about his splits. I don't mean to continue to be repetitive this entire podcast, but like if you're not playing Mackenzie Gore, then you should be playing Angels lefty bats against his left-handed pitcher. They all hit him. They all hit lefties fairly well. So it would just kind of make sense that you would want to stack against him if you're not a believer in him because he's too cheap as a pitcher. If you like him, to not put him in your lineup.
Right.
We talked to Alec Boehm already. 38 just feels free against Cabrera. Really great price tag there. Escobar we talked about on tonight's live stream. The only thing he does left really is hit lefties. Blake Snell there at $3,700. Miranda's pretty cheap at 34 against Giolito. Again, a guy that hit for a lot of power at the minor league level. Hasn't really translated yet over to the major league level, but could see him there as well.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't have a lot of interest in this mid tier. I think Miranda's fine, but like he really has been bad to start the year.
Yep.
Boehm, we talked about at first base, so like I'll just take him from first because there was a lot of other options, and I'll just insert him into my now favorite mid-tier third base play. So I'm actually just stealing him from first and putting him back at third. I'm just gonna like Will Smith. What is the Men in Black thing that they had that like zapped you? It zapped your memory. Anyone that heard me talk about it at first is now freeze. Okay. And now Alec Bohm. Alec Bohm's my favorite third baseman in this mid-tier, John.
Okay, sounds great. Love it. Let's move on over to shortstop then. Shortstops here. Trey Turner at 56. Again, I haven't had an opportunity to play a lot of Trey Turner.
Right.
Feels like a good spot, especially if he's going to get a free pass to first.
Yes.
Yes. To maybe get some of that exposure. Yeah. Get a couple stolen bases maybe on the docket here at $5,600 could be heading his way. Dansby still feels a little bit too expensive, but you've talked again. The righty splits versus Gilbert there at 53, and maybe
he left. He left, by the way. So he left Tuesday's game. I
side
think it was,
tightness.
Yeah, okay. I think they called it something with the side. So two shortstops, both Seager and Swanson, both left. So if Swanson's back in the lineup, I have no problem getting there. I'm just unsure if he's going to play.
Okay. Something to certainly look to pay attention to then. Xander's at 51. It feels like pretty unanimous. We like Trey Turner here.
Pretty unanimous. Xander, your boy Xander did homer again because all he does is hit baseballs. But anyone over 5K it's Trey Turner.
Okay. Francisco Lindor versus lefty and Blake Snell's at $4,800. I think we're
very interested
going there. Tommy Edman homer today, hitting second. Probably won't hit second versus a righty, but he hit ninth the other day, I think. So, get the wraparound on Edman maybe there at 42.
Yep. I'll throw Adames out there too for home run. Just hit his third home run Tuesday night as well. Okay. He's been pretty good lately. 3 home runs in his last 5 games. So Adames for a home run as well.
Won't fight you on that one. Any other mid-tier guys?
I like Rengifo with the shortstop eligibility. DraftKings kind of given us, because we had all second base, third base, right? We couldn't. Urshela was like the only option the other day at shortstop for the Angels. I like Rengifo there. I know you already mentioned him. Like Volpe's been so bad recently. Had a day off on Tuesday for the first time this season. CJ Abrams, I know his numbers are mostly skewed because of course he had the 2 triples, 3 RBIs, but on Monday he had 2 RBI hit and a stolen base. I don't dislike that. I mean, Griffin Canning wasn't great before the back injury too. Yeah. Like he, isn't all that great. So yeah, I think CJ Abrams 2,800 makes sense.
He hits at the bottom. Doesn't he hit at the bottom of that lineup? But again, it doesn't really matter, I guess.
He's gonna hit at the bottom. Yeah, he's gonna hit at the bottom of the lineup.
And you mentioned Volpe, right? Yeah, I
mentioned Volpe. He had Tuesday off. Okay. Abrams hit 7th on Tuesday.
Okay. Something to watch there.
1 for 2 with a double. He's the only hit off Ohtani thus far.
Okay, I don't mind it. I certainly do not mind that. Not too many mid-tier guys, but there are a couple of value. If John Birdie finds his way into the lineup, I always don't mind throwing darts at him. Again, he's been playing pretty consistently. Homered even today. Not a big power guy, but elite stolen base upside. Like can steal 2 to 3 bags in a game if he gets on. So I don't mind John Birdie if he's in the lineup, even though it's against Zach Wheeler here. That's fine by me.
John Birdie can go 0 for 3 with a walk and end up getting you 14 fantasy points because he steals 2 bags and scores a run. Like that's literally John Birdie in a nutshell. So.
Yep, 100%. All right, outfield, we know biggest player pool on the board at the position. Mr. Aaron Judge is your top price guy at 63. Ohtani and Trout, which again are letting everybody down. Julio Rodriguez let everybody down here today in a game that Seattle scored all those runs. Luis Robert was one of the guys that did the damage early against Pablo Lopez here today. Soto at 54, Buxton homered, Schwarb Daddy at 53. Where are we going to the top part of this outfield spot?
Everyone and anybody. They're all in play. Aaron Judge is an elite play, 63. We know he has slate breaking upside. Just the other day, hit 2 home runs in Baltimore. The Yankees offense has looked pretty good lately. And they get Battenfield. That's not going to be Battenfield. It's going to be bat in practice.
Oh,
got him. That's at you, Kangas man. Yeah, Cleveland Guardians fan. Anyways, I like Aaron Judge. Trout, I like a little bit more than Ohtani. Plus, you mentioned it, like he might not play day
Right.
after pitching, so we'll have to see. You know what? If the wins are bad, Julio Rodriguez has been disappointing the last two slates. Being a contrarian GPP play, I have no issues getting back to that. Um, Probably not going to play much Luis Robert just because we're playing Sonny Gray, but can't deny how good this dude's been. He's been
Right.
amazing to start the year. And this is all we've wanted from Luis Robert. Just stay healthy and, you're a monster. Soto, Buxton tournaments is a great play always, and Schwarber for tournaments always, because we know Schwarber can go 2 for 5 with 3 strikeouts and 2 home runs. And, that's the day at the office for Kyle Schwarber. So
Yep.
I like Schwarber too.
100% in agreement with you there as well. Other guys down in here in the mid tier, something like Marte versus Snell gets a lefty. Ian Happ, we know, has some power. Jazz Chisholm has the power speed, but going up against Wheeler, maybe not the most flattering matchup for him there. Chris Bryant against Flaherty at 49. Keep saying it. Hunter Renfroe homered the other day. If you're not playing Mackenzie Gore, play against them. There's certainly plenty of lefties in the lefty killers in the lineup for LA to make this one a little bit of a tough go for Gore, but we like his stuff. We think he's pretty electric. So as much power as there is in a bat like Renfroe, there's also strikeout potential in a bat in Renfroe. So,
yep.
Stanton's there at 47. Where are we in this like upper 4K range for you?
I mean, Renfroe homered 3 games in a row going into Tuesday, and Tuesday's game, as we're recording, is still not complete. So could it be 4? Stay tuned to find out. Yeah. So obviously, like Renfroe for tournaments, Stanton's actually been pretty good at the dish. Everything still is just rockets off his bat every single time. It's insane. A little 5-game hitting streak going with, and only 1 home run in that span. But I've always been I'm playing Giancarlo Stanton when he's hot, and I'm not playing him until he's like heating up, because when he looks like the best and worst baseball players. When he's really hot, he looks like the guy who hit 50 home runs in a year, and then when he's ice cold, like he looks like he doesn't know how to play baseball. So right now, Stanton hot, I'm playing him. And then like this mid-tier 4K range is kind of interesting. Like Stephen Kwan is fine, but unless he's stealing a base, I don't love it. Tyler O'Neill, who even knows what to make of Tyler O'Neill at this point? But if he's in the lineup, I have interest. That's like it.
I like Castellanos at 42.
Yeah, Castellanos at 42 is good. But where did his power go? I mean, I know he has 7 doubles, and that's awesome. But like, this was last year too. He had like 15 home runs last year. I mean, he leaves Cincinnati, and
you get him out of Cincinnati. Yeah, you get him out of Cincinnati. The power. He wasn't a big masher for Detroit. Like he had 20, 25 home run upside, but take him out of a big, the Great American Small Park. We call it for a reason, right? So
it's a fair point.
So he's there. I mean, Burleson's 3,800 as an outfielder, right? So probably going to slot him in. He's going to hit second. Miles Straw has a lot of stolen base potential at $3,700. He's also hitting the ball really well right now, 343 average.
Yep.
Could just be chasing some stolen base points here down in this like 3K range. McCarthy gets drunk at 36. Brandon Marsh has been off to a really good start. He's $3,500 against Cabrera here. Jordan Walker's 3,400 at least. He's
there you go.
So definitely some 3K value on the Corbin Carroll, $3,100.
I was waiting for you to get there. I was going to say, you haven't even mentioned the best one of them all.
Yeah,
the best one of them all is Corbin Carroll.
Stroman, I mean, 33K for him. He's been heating up. Oscar Colas is 29. Garrett Mitchell's 28. He just got another hit tonight. Garrett Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like very interested. So Jansen Junk, right?
Yep.
Is a 27-year-old who has pitched like 6 games in the big leagues. Last year, lefties crushed him.
Yeah.
In AAA.
His numbers at the major league level aren't great, which is why I don't get the $9,100 price tag.
So like, I guess he pitched in the PCL. So like that's obviously the Las Vegas league
Right.
that it's just impossible to pitch in.
Hitter Haven.
Hitter Haven. But like didn't pitch well in spring. He's 27 years old and he was drafted at 21. So he's just been a career minor leaguer for the New York Yankees, by the
Yeah.
way. I'm not like I'm not really sold on Jansen Junk. And dude, seeing Corbin Carroll at $3,100, righty lefty split, seeing Jake McCarthy $3,600 in the righty lefty split. I know they've struggled. Can is this a safe space, John? I love Arizona. Is this a safe space? Like
I think it's fine. Jansen Junk in his we got 7 major league games that he's pitched in. He's allowed 6 home runs. 6 home runs allowed.
So can we just quickly revisit the fact that Pavin Smith has been hitting in this middle of the lineup for them? 2,900 first baseman. We know Christian Walker obviously has pop. He homered on Monday, I believe. He homered on Monday off of Corbin Burns pitch. No, Corbin Burns pitched tonight. Pitched Tuesday. So who pitched on Monday? Wade Miley. He homered off Wade Miley on Monday. I know we didn't mention Rojas because I think we were surprised that he was.
Well, I mentioned him, but I felt like he was very expensive.
But Ketel Marte 43, like I'm talking myself in Arizona here because I don't get the Jansen Junk price.
I didn't get it. It didn't make any sense for it to be $9,100.
$3,400, hot Arizona weather. In the middle of the day. Maybe we're missing something.
They got the humidor in there now.
That's true.
Marte's career better numbers against lefties, but not again. That may not matter. So.
Okay.
Maybe we get that shortstop there that we were playing the other day.
Geraldo Perdomo.
Maybe Perdomo finds his way into.
If he's hitting second, he's not cheap anymore.
No,
he's $4K, but like you said, if he's in the lineup, I'm kind of in. Arizona is getting shut out. And Corbin Burns has a 1-hitter through 6 innings.
Well, I did say on the stream this morning that I thought maybe Corbin Burns was a little bit too free at $8,500. So
the only hit that Arizona has is a Gabriel Moreno single. If we're getting any lineup ideas, Rojas, Marte, Pavin Smith was 1 through 3. Corbin Carroll, McCarthy, Moreno was 5 through 7, and then Perdomo hit 9th.
Sure. I don't mind it. I certainly don't mind it. All right, let's give our home run call. Coors cannot be included.
Home run call. You go first today. Putting you on the spot.
You're gonna put me on the spot. Let's go Stanton.
I was also gonna go Yankees, but I'm gonna pivot. I'm gonna pivot away from the Yankees. Can't go Coors. So naturally, I'm just gonna pivot to Cubs because we're gonna get 15 to 20-hour wins, and I will go Patrick Wisdom.
Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna go Trey Mancini back-to-back nights with a home run.
Okay. I thought you were gonna say Nico Horner. So
I should have. I honestly, I should.
It would have made for a great clip if you called the Nico Horner homer. It was only of the year that you probably
the only of the year, right?
All right. We got a couple of minutes left here. Let's build the lineup. Are we plugging Wheeler in?
Yes.
Okay. What's our SB2?
So I know you like Mackenzie Gore. I also think there's a lot to dislike about I think there's a lot to like and dislike.
I've said if you're not playing Gore, then you play against him. It's one of the obviously. I'm not speaking anything too crazy here. He's either going to pitch well or he's going to pitch poorly.
So, that was bold. That was very bold.
Bold statement. I know. I get it.
I'm proud of you for that.
Thanks.
I will say Sonny Gray just feels like kind of a plug and play here at 8,300, given what the White Sox likely have against him. But I don't know how you feel about that.
No, I'm good. I'm good with Sonny Gray. I don't mind it. I don't think we get 13 strikeouts.
It's not that I think we're going to get
5. So
right. He's allowed 1 earned run through 2 starts.
mm-hmm.
I mean, he's home. The White Sox offense could just be Luis Robert and friends like it was again. So
yeah, I'm good. All right, so that will give us 4K a play. We just went through just a ridiculous amount of outfielders. We're gonna play Corbin Carroll.
Yep. And we're playing Coors. We're playing Coors today. We are in on St. Louis.
Okay.
That is the next step, I think, for us.
Okay. So Burleson. 3,800.
Gorman, Burleson, Arenado for sure would be like probably, unless you prefer Goldie, but I feel like we liked more at first base.
Well, there was more at first base, right? Christian Walker was 4K. Alec Boehm was 3,800. You liked Arenado, but you liked Boehm. So does Boehm go now to first for us? Or does Boehm go to third and we go back to Goldschmidt?
Goldie. Well, there's also like the Mancini, like the Cubs Seattle
Mancini
game.
Mancini does have outfield eligibility at $2,600.
If we played Mancini, could that get us Goldie? Because we could punt catcher too, right? Like we could literally just.
Yeah, I mean $3,650 for a shortstop and a catcher. Who was our shortstop? Perdomo was 4K. Well, we wanted to punt catcher potentially, right? So
yeah, who is our punt catcher?
Marino is junk 2,900.
That kind of fits the
kind of fits what we were doing.
Yeah,
there, right?
Yep, yeah, and they were hitting 5 and 7. So like Corbin Carroll and Moreno correlate.
Tommy Edman at 4,200.
Bang, 5 cards. So look,
we don't have Jordan Walker in our lineup, but I mean it's
my feelings. I will play 5. I have no problem playing 5. It's Jose Urena. Like it's Jose Urena and then friends after a bullpen that just got lit up for 7 earned runs after Kyle Freeland left the game.
We can max out with 5. That's fine. Goldschmidt, Norman, Arenado, and Edman is our lineup. That kind of wraps around too. So
they had 4. The Rockies used 4 relievers and gave up 7 runs tonight. Like their bullpen's going to be taxed going into this game. Dude,
would you rather Garrett Mitchell or Trey Mancini?
I mean, one of them is my home run call and one of them isn't. So okay. I personally would go Mancini, but like I'm also not against playing Garrett Mitchell.
Okay.
If that's where we wanted to pivot.
Mancini, your home run call, that works. Okay.
Well, we could pivot. What we could do is pivot off Goldschmidt, put Mancini at first, play Garrett Mitchell, and then maybe move somewhere else. We're gonna have a lot. We're gonna have. We're gonna have money.
We have so much money.
My suspicion is Contreras doesn't play unless he DHs because usually you don't get the 3 games in a row with the catcher.
I mean, Marino's been playing a ton, right? So
yeah, that's true.
I guess he had enough on the 9th.
You might be right. You might play Contreras. Play Contreras if we have
4,250 for a second shortstop and an outfielder.
You wanted to play Garrett Mitchell, didn't you?
So we can play Trey Turner at 56 and play Garrett Mitchell. We can play Garrett Mitchell right there. So we can
let's do that.
Zach Wheeler, Sonny Gray, Wilson Contreras, Trey Mancini, Nolan Gorman, Nolan Arenado, Trey Turner, Corbin Carroll, Alec Burleson, Garrett Mitchell. $100 left over.
Good for me.
Doesn't that feel like it works?
Yeah, good for me.
Feels like it works for me too as well. So that is it, everybody. That is our breakdown of the DraftKings 1 p.m. slate. James and I will be back live at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Better Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm channels across all social media platforms to break down the 635 main slate that's going on as well in DraftKings and FanDuel. If you're not already a member of the Fantasy Alarm family, check out the deal we got going on down below. Save 50% off the first 6 months using promo code MLB50. It's $19.98 a month access for all sports all the way through the first month of the NFL season. You get all of our DFS and seasonal content as well as access to our premium Discord where we're in there answering your start sick questions. For James and I, we will be back here for Thursday. Good luck, everybody. We'll talk to you all later.